Afternoon, guys. We're going to get back into the Hohem iSteady V2. This time though, we're going to get into the app. We're going to look at all the different features within the app, where everything is, where all the features are, and how to make any changes to it so you can set it up the way you like it for yourself. Once we finish going through all the controls of the app, we're then going to look at the gimbal controls and what does what do these buttons do and how do they function. We'll get into that and you'll be a pro by the time you're done. Let's get into it. Alright, we're in the app. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up here for you. There you go. So you can see what's going on as we're working through all these different controls. So basically we're going to start at the top right, go across the top, then we're going to go across to all the controls on the bottom. We're going to find anything that's hidden and we're going to see where all these little controls are. So follow along there as I'm looking down here. So we're going to start with the top right. We click on this setting here and you can see it brings up three symbols across the top. You got the little lines, you got the gimbal symbol, and you got the camera. We're on the camera. So right now you can see video resolution. And there's all the different resolutions that I can set this to. Click that back off. Grid, do I want a grid on here? You have different grid options and you can see how it kind of changes in below. I'm going to leave it off for now. And that's all you do there. Now you've got zoom speed. You can control this to what speed you want. Kind of handy. And it's just a slide along there. Timer. 3 second, 5 second. You just set it to whatever you want and then close it back out. I'm not going to leave the timer on. And then you have professional mode. I'll come back to that one at the end and we're going to work through all the different little controls on the pro mode. So that's it for the camera setting. So let's get up into the gimbal mode. And we got a whole ton of controls here. First off, we got our working mode. We're in pan, tilt, follow. We're simply going to click on that. And you can see we have pan, tilt, follow, pan, follow, all lock, and POV, all follow. And it also gives you little indications there on how the buttons work and what does what. We'll get into that after. But that's how you can just come into the settings and change your follow modes in the app itself. So let's come back out of that. Follow speed. You have different speeds and it explains with the little chart there to what the speeds do. But you have the 4 settings. I'm just leaving it into general the way I've got it set up. Motor response. You can change your motor response. Underneath that, roll auto rotation. You can adjust it there. It's just a slide button on and off. Next under that we have left right joystick, pan and roll. You can adjust pretty well everything on this. Underneath that, joystick reverse, joystick speed. You can simply click on that and low, medium, high. So you can change that right in the app itself. Joystick reverse, so basically you're going to reverse it. It's just a little slide, right? So boom, boom, quite easy. Next, joystick speed. Again, low, medium, and high. I'm leaving it the way I've got it set. And you also have an auto calibration. I'll click on that and you can see the writing there. It takes about 40 seconds to do, but you can calibrate the gimbal through there. So that is it under the gimbal settings. So you got quite a bit of control there. Next we come into the last section here and it's your device name, SIN number, firmware, and the Bluetooth version underneath. Now there's no information in there because I don't actually have it turned on with the gimbal. I'm running the app without being connected. That's why that's blank. Yours will have information filled in there. So that completes the top row. Now I will come back to here. I will turn on the pro mode. Click on the screen and you can see along the bottom here, let me just slide into video. We have our EV settings. We now have our ISO, our film speed. We can change that. It's simply just a slide to whatever we want our ISO to be. So I'm going to leave it into auto, make it nice and bright behind there. You've got your white balance. What kind of white balance do you want? And you can see how it changes. So all your white balance settings, including twilight, you can set on the app in the white balance. Now, the other part here, and a lot of people said, oh, you can't access the wide angle lens in that. Camera, back camera, You click it and look, back camera. Now what happens when I click wide? Boom. I've now got a wide-angled lens because my camera has a wide-angled lens. So that's a way you can access it within the app, right? It's just a simple touch. So now you know how to access your wide-angled lens. You come into the app, make sure you're in pro mode, and come down to the camera back setting, and then you can set it. It's that easy. All right, now let's have a look at the bottom row here of controls. We've got the three little circles or bubbles. Those are your filters. So you can come in here and change whatever kind of filter you want, and there's a lot in there. So you can set whichever filter you want. Click that off. Now we have hand gestures. It says you can make a V or you can do a palm, and that can control your tracking. If you watched the previous video I did of this where I unboxed it, I did a review, you can see the hand gesturing I was doing was the OK symbol and the stop, and you can see how all that worked. I'll put a link to that video down below so you can check it out, and it gets into all the testing of the gimbal as well. This is kind of a follow-up to all that, but that's how the hand gesturing works. Next to that, the big round button, we should all know what that is. That is your record button. Now, the far left is that little box you see on the far left there. That is your photo and video library. So that's basically your controls there. Now, below that, as you can see, let's start, we've got slow motion. We have time lapse, and I'm going to get in and I'm going to do a special video on time lapse, motion lapse, and hyperlapse. Plus, there is a smart motion lapse in here, which is kind of cool, because you know how I love doing the lapses if you follow my channel. So we're going to do a dedicated video just to that, okay? So that's got time lapse, you've got your photo mode, your video mode, and a cool little section here called moment. And look at that spin and turn. That is your inception mode. And you have 180 degree or 270 degree angle that it'll go. You simply hit start. Now look at the top. See the little music symbol? If I click that, I can, now you see the symbol. If I click it again, no music. What this does is this will run its little scenario. It's like a pre-programmed little scenario. It'll run it, finish it, and put music with it. Now for me on YouTube, it's not very good because I don't know where the music's coming from, and it might be copyrighted. So whenever I'm doing those, I don't use the music. I can add it myself later. But if you're just out having fun, you can have a little finished video with the music attached. So we have inception, we have fantastic rotation, we have panoramic video, kind of cool. That is the smart motion lapse, which I will show you when I do the time lapse, motion lapse, hyperlapse one. Oh, and one of my favorites, the dolly zoom. I love this feature. One of the other gimbals, I went out and was playing with it. A lot of fun. I love that effect. So that is very good that it's in here. And you've got dynamic and lucky. So you've got a bunch of preset stuff in there for you to be able to do it. That is really cool. And you can add music if you want. So that's what's underneath in the moment section there, what you have available to you. All right, getting back up into the top now, you do have your track button here, and you've got object tracking, and you've got people tracking. It's quite simple to do. You then have your camera, forward camera, back camera. This one here is your flash, where it's kind of an automatic or a manual, and you can see it turned on my light on my cell phone. Beside that, the little house symbol takes you back to your home page. Underneath that is your Bluetooth symbol and your battery powers for phone and gimbal if I had the gimbal on. Below that, you see the Z and the F. That is your zoom or focus. When you've got the Z in orange like I've got there, you can use the side switch and you can do the zooming. You simply touch on the screen and you can see how it brings all your controls up underneath, and you can switch to focus. Now I can use the side zoom. Now it's not going to zoom, it'll take my focus in and out so I can adjust my focus with that. And it's simply just a matter of clicking on and you can adjust. That's it for all the controls within the app. If you got any questions on this, please leave it down below. We'll see what we can do to help get you sorted. Now, let's get into what the controls do on the gimbal itself. This is your power button here. You long press to turn it on. If you press it once, it goes into portrait landscape. Press it again, it'll go back in. Now, if I just kind of tilt this off a bit, if you double click, that will recenter your gimbal. If you click 3 times, 1, 2, 3, you get a very cool effect called Inception. So you can do it built right in to the app. And I quite like that they've got it right on the front button here. You triple click, and as you can see, this is going through the motions all by itself for Inception. You don't have to even get into the menu. And you can see it does its full rotations. There we go, Inception mode done. Now, if I press this button 5 times, it'll auto-calibrate the gimbal for me. And if I press it 7 times, it'll help me repair it to the app. So that's your power button and all the different controls that it can do. Now, here we have our joystick. So I can move this to however I need or want. And it's simply a joystick, and it functions accordingly to that. Next button here is your shutter button. So if I click it once, it starts recording. Double click, switches it into photo mode. It took a second there because it was saving that little bit of video clip. So you double click and you can switch between your video and photo mode. To use the modes on here for your pan, follow, and tilt and all that, you press and hold your photo button here. So let me just come back into video mode. Press and hold and watch the indicator light. If I click it twice, I will then go into pan follow mode. If I triple click it, you saw the light flash. 1, 2, 3. It will then go into all lock mode. So if I press and hold the stop start button and single tap, it is into pan tilt follow. If I double tap, it'll go in pan follow. If I triple tap, it's all lock. And if I quadruple tap, it is POV. So again, watch the indicator light here as I double tap for pan follow. You will see how the light blinks twice to confirm that you are in pan follow. You simply release that. If you want to go back to the original how it's defaulted, you press, hold, click once, and that takes you back into your pan tilt control. That's basically it for on here. You've got your battery strength, that's your power indicator light. And on the side, you do have your zoom here. And although it's kind of hard to see on here, you can see your sliding here. But it's a blue background, so you're not seeing much. So that's what's happening there. But that's it for all your controls. And on the side here, again, you do have your port for charging the gimbal, or you can charge your cell phone at the same time. Well, there you have it. That's going over all the little controls and tweaks within the app itself. So you should be able to find everything you want. And we explained out the buttons on the front. As I say, they streamlined it down by not adding a lot of extra buttons. They have you pushing multiple buttons to get to the functions that you want. Handy in one way, pain in another. It's up to you whether you're like pushing buttons or not. But that is the Hohem iSteady V2, a good look at the app and a good look at the controls. I will be doing another video though on the time lapse, motion lapse, hyperlapse, and that smart time lapse, so we'll be able to check that out. I will also be taking this out and doing a whole bunch of different gimbal moves with it and see if we can't make a bit of a cinematic clip using the Hohem iSteady V2. So that's it for this one. I know it was a bit long, but there was a lot of information and a lot of little places we had to go and look. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when we post new videos like this. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. So, until the next time.